Well, welcome to an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology, sponsored by Liftoff Agent, your number one marketing and positioning agency. We have a returning guest on the show, from not wanting to be on billboards to actually being on a billboard. Episode 137. You got to check this episode out. Breaking the barriers down from being a real estate professional. We have the one and only Madison coming back to join us on Real Estate vs. Technology. What's going on? Super excited to get back. Have you back on the show, go back over kind of where you're at, what's changed, what's new. Of course, check her out. Links are down below. But welcome to Real Estate vs. Technology, Madison.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back, and I'm excited to kind of catch up after about a year and a half.
Yeah, it's crazy because I know, like, at that time, I think it was like 2.5, 3 years. Now you're going almost 6 years in the business, which is awesome. And we would love to get caught up with you, because if anyone wants to hear the story, watch the first episode. But we want to talk about some of the things that you were talking about before on air. Being consistent, being brand on top of mind for brands. So not being pushy, but then people see you, and then that can transact potential business or conversations when you're just top of mind, showing up and being consistent. I remember the last episode, you were doing some things, interviewing like the mayor of your local town. And so what's new? How are you doing? And let's get into this.
Where do I start?
I know, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how time goes by fast, especially when you're working. And it's been fun for me actually I was watching the previous episode too, and I was kind of, listening to what I was saying. And it's kind of a trip sometimes because I'm not always recording things about real estate other than content, but it's a little bit different when it's an interview, because that's just me talking,
Mm-hmm.
And I look back at when I started and how many things I didn't know. But I think what I appreciate about myself, and I try to give myself credit for, is just that I was so hungry to learn, and I was just so ready to dive in. And sometimes when I get overwhelmed with the business or a little stressed out, I actually will go back and try to remember myself at that moment and kind of get a little inspiration from my old self, because I was 15, I didn't know anything about real estate at all. And I just worked, at the end of the day, there's no magic pill. It's just working and being consistent. That's kind of what I was sharing with you before we started recording. Because you asked me what works for me. And I think it's just being consistent and failing all the time, but just showing up each time. And there's the moments, I take, and I have to kind of recharge and rest, because the work-life balance is so important. And I think that's been the hardest thing for me personally as a real estate agent, is just doing the work-life balance. But now I've kind of figured out ways to combine my my personal life and my business. And some people might say, oh, well, how do you, differentiate, or how do you, go from personal to business? And I think for me, I've actually enjoyed combining that and meshing it. For example, if my family or my friends come to my real estate events or my communal events, and I just get them on board and involved and, have their support, and it makes me a stronger agent and more confident in myself, because I know I have my support, and it makes it fun for me. And I think I'm myself when I'm around clients too. And so a lot of my clients will come to some of the stuff that I'm doing also. So I personally don't mind blending it, but I know for some people they want it completely separate, and that's okay too. But again, it gets my consistency even on a higher level, because I'm around all the time, and not just in work clothes and professional clothes. They see me in hiking clothes, so they see me in the community on the billboard now. I know I never wanted to be on one, but here we are. And actually, I did an open house. I have a listing in Chino Hills right now, and I did open house. And I gave an attendee my business card, which has my dog on it. And she looked at my business card, and she's like, "Wait, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from?" She's like, "You're that one." She's like, "You're the jobs at Chino Hills." Oh my gosh, I've seen your billboard so many times, and so it was kind of a cool thing, because although I'm years in, I'm still kind of newer, so it's kind of cool to see the things I've been doing years back paying off, because it takes consistency to finally see the return. So that's been fun for me.
That's huge. That's huge. And I think anyone who's viewing or listening, it makes a lot of sense, right? You're first in the business, you're just motivated and you're hungry, and you don't know what you don't know. And then you learn the things, and then you get to kind of this like point of like, all right, I have this ebb and flow, I have this groove, I know what I'm doing. And then for you to watch back the old episode and be like, oh my God, like, kind of tap into your older self, which who knows, maybe there could be, a little bit of kind of not additional, but different energy, or kind of where you were in your mindset. And then it's also good to just get back to where you were and be like, oh my God, like, holy cow, like I've grown so much, or I've changed so much, or I remember I had this or that going on, and now it's like a total different situation. Now it's like work-life balance, and how do I have both? So congratulations to you to get to that place and to move on. I think a lot of people who are listening and viewing right now, you know, there's the ebbs and flows, and how do you differentiate working on the business, in the business, and then going to events, and are they real estate events? Probably. And then and the colleagues, and then it's just like on and on and on. So that I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things that you're stepping into, different situations. And I like to tap into my old self, or just because once you start getting really consistent with the business, you're just working all the time. And I think if I could give anyone the best advice I can give is just to always stay open-minded, to pivot in your business, because even regardless of being new or not, even seasoned agents, we're always or we should be always pivoting and staying open-minded, not necessarily trying a bunch of new shiny things, because if you keep trying new things all the time, you're consistent, you know, you're like goldfish, and then you're like, you have the, you know, it's hard to build off that, right? But maintaining consistency, but then also staying open-minded to exploring new things, and just always trying to be better as an agent, because at the end of the day, our clients benefit from that. I mean, of course, we make a living, we have to. I wish I could live in California for free, but that's just not reality. So, you know, we have to work for a living. So yes, we make money, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it also serves our clients better. And that way they'll refer us or want to do more transactions with us. So the stronger we are as agents, the better, you know, it is for everybody.
I love that. I love that. And let's deep dive a little bit into that, as far as kind of how you have that balance. And like, more importantly, you said something that really spoke my interest, is the shiny syndrome. There's a lot of agents in the industry that, you know, oh, there's a new tool. Oh, we're going to go to Inman Connect. We're going to go to NAR. We're going to go to these events. And then there's like all these vendors, right? Like, oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And then, like you said, it's okay to try things, but understand the foundation. And can we dive into what is the foundational pillars for you, the non-negotiables, that is the day in, the day out, whether it's social, mailers, door knocking, making phone, what is your non-negotiables? So then someone who's listening or viewing can like have that baseline, like, okay, this could be something that's my non-negotiables, things that I need to do. I like what Madison had to say. I'm going to do that. And then how do you integrate the next thing, right? So kind of contrast there a little bit. So we'll start off first off, what's the non-negotiables, the things that you always do that's been working for you, for someone out there, and then we'll get into like, how do you implement new things?
It's such a good topic, because it's really important to choose these items so that way you can operate your business. And like I said before, being consistent, because, you know, I work commission only, so I don't have a salary or benefits. You know, I'm self-employed. I have my own company, so I only make what I earn. So that being said, my non-negotiables are usually social media. That's where I get a lot of my business, and not always, and that it's, you know, that's what I started with, because when I was brand new, I didn't know anything, and then COVID happened. So door knocking wasn't really, it was like frowned upon. We weren't doing open houses. So a lot of the normal stuff, or the, you know, long-term basics that a lot of agents do, we weren't supposed to be doing my very first like month of being licensed, you know? So I just dove to online, because that's what worked for me. And I just put out a lot of content, and again, very, very consistently. So always posting almost every day, or at least you know, at least 5 days a week, but on the stories and on the post. So non-negotiable social media. And I do sometimes take a little break from that, just to kind of regroup a little bit. So that's a balance item also, but social media for sure, getting in front of people, that's where I shine the best. On the phone, I you know, I'm a lot better than what I used to be, because I've practiced, but I was never really good on the phones. I was very awkward, and like, you know, if someone me, I would probably cry after. So I was very emotional, which, you know, I've worked on that. But I didn't like it, so I wasn't good at it. And but getting in front of people, because I love when people see my personality, and I work better off of eye contact and body language, and, you know, talking about topics that aren't so salesy or so aggressively salesy, if that makes sense. So I thought better on rapport. So getting in front of people, whether it's work or just networking, then the social media, and then it's also kind of, those are like my two main ones, I think, actually. I think about it. So those online and in person, which is kind of ironic, but those are my things I always have to do.
That's cool. And I think it's something for our viewer listeners to take in consideration, that you don't have to overcomplicate this stuff. Like, you literally can just like, go on social media, show up on there. So you're online, so you have your online activities, and then your offline activities, whether it's the gym or Pilates or hiking or different events and meetups and whatever. And then conversations happen. And then you have like your sphere of influence, and then referrals come in, they follow you on social media. And then like social media is great because it's like email marketing, but you don't have to send an email, and it's not like so salesy or so doesn't need to be so orchestrated. It could be like, a cool headshot or, picture of you doing a photo shoot or a listing or a testimonial or what have you. And then how do you, like, when you think about or hear about someone like a colleague in your office, I'm sure someone listening right now, it's like someone in the office came in and said, you have to check out this new company for lead generation or social media posting or website or whatever. Like, how do you kind of like you just go in and get it, or do you kind of just look at what it is? Like, what would you recommend over the years as far as like, not maybe just going for just anything, like just go buy the next shiny object.
Like, you're like in the shop, in the grocery store with your shopping cart, and you're like, that looks cool. That looks cool.
Yeah.
And then it's so full, and you bought way too much stuff, and then now you're not going to use it all.
Yeah. I don't even need all this stuff. Yeah.
You need a full shopping cart. I just need like my main like fruits and veggies and the main items, whatever, the core things keep me surviving and enjoying my life. So that's like an analogy, but
love that.
I'm me personally, I'm much more skeptical, so I'm not easily sold. And because I like to really ponder on how it's going to benefit me, I'm pretty smart with my money, or I try to be. We like to have fun and have a good time, but I'm actually more conservative when it comes to that. So I don't like to just spend money anywhere. So that's why I really try to think about this new program, or how much is it going to cost. And I'm always I think maybe that's just business ownership. But we're always thinking about finances, or I am. And, okay, well, I have this to pay for. So can I even afford to try this new thing, So I think about the finances first, what the benefit's going to be. And is this really going to be applied to my business where I'm going to utilize it?
I love
because
that.
all these I think it's one of the most overwhelming things about being an agent is all these different, especially with technology, all these different programs. And we're constantly being sold all the time from all these companies, Zillow, Redfin, and then realtor.com, and then all the other tech stuff, which is really cool. But I think for me, what works is that I'm very reflective on looking at my past sales, which that's probably the best advice I can give anyone, is look at your past sales, even if it's one. Where did you get that lead from? Open house? Was it social media? Take that one sale or your 7 sales, see what the most, how you're getting your leads the most, and then just dive into those things. And then when you learn a new thing that sounds cool, master that one or those 2 things first, get a really good business off that, and then maybe add things when you notice that you have enough business coming from those core activities first.
Wow, that's super smart, because I can imagine too, you have that one transaction, and of course there's whatever it is, a touch program as far as how many touches after the sale, if it was like a buyer of a home and or potentially even a seller of a home, and then they know someone. So it's like, well, how could you maybe give a gift or do something, give a call, check in, have a touch program over the 3, 6, 12 months, whatever the case may be. And I'm sure you probably muster up a lot of referral business just from making those phone calls or touching them on social media or checking in on birthdays or sending them a gift. So that's super smart. Sometimes you don't have to buy the next cool thing. You could just come within, get a phone, you got social media, you got one transaction. That's all you really need. So is that what you really like to do with your past clients, to just maximize exposure opportunities then?
Yes, the past client database is also another important factor for me. Staying in touch with them, and it's not just me. I mean, there's so many different scripts we can use as agents, but what works for me is just checking in on them, how it's going at their home, just asking what's new, and then actually visiting them. It's hard to visit everybody because then you're just driving around like a crazy person, and I know because I've done it. I remember my very first Christmas, I delivered all my gifts, and I think I only had 8 transactions that year, but visiting 8 people around Christmas time was actually more difficult than you think, especially because my business is kind of all over the place. So I was driving around like crazy when I was trying to also be with family and doing that. But I just visited clients, this past Christmas, a couple of them, and I sit with them 1 to 3 hours. It's not like a quick hi, bye. I try to spend time with them, and it's really amazing to see their homes and how they've lived there. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is the connection with
Yes.
people, connecting them more than just business and actually caring about them and their families and their lives. Because you would want the same thing back, I would think. So
Amen.
it's about making a deeper connection than just transactional is really, really important.
I like that. I like that. And that reminds me of a story like when my wife and I bought this house about 3 years ago, almost 3.5 years ago. And the agent, like, it was the ugliest house on the nicest block. It was one of those stories. And so we were so excited, and I was so excited. And I was like, hey, I can't wait. Like, we're doing the floors. We're going to do all the door handles. We're going to do all the fans. We're going to do the painting. Like, I was telling him all the things we were going to do. And like, he seemed like he was curious or seemed like he was wanting to like, oh, that's really cool. Can't wait to see when it's done. But like, literally all I don't have one with me, was like, he gives like a postcard. It's like the most interesting postcard of the world. Like, okay, guy, like, thanks, dude. I appreciate the card, but like nothing like what you did, Madison. So I think viewers and listeners out there, go deeper with your clients and really understand, like, and I think that's a great way to touch your clients as well. Like, hey, what's your dreams and aspirations of this house? What are you going to do? Like, oh, you're going to remodel. Oh, great. What do you want to do? Or how are you going to do it? Oh, I have connections. I actually have some vendors I can refer you to, or whatever the case may be. Cause we moved from California to Arizona, outside of Scottsdale here in Gilbert. So like, we didn't know anybody. So for me as an agent, and I love what you're talking about, how you go deeper with your clients, I would ask those questions. And I think anyone who's viewing, listening, how do you go deeper and just make that a process? Actually, one of our inspectors, we have a flip that we're going through right now. And so the inspector actually has a referral partnership with like a ADP home like security system. And I got a phone call and it's like, oh, you just went through blah, 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 home inspector, and we partner with them. And if you need ADT or, security systems, like, let us know. Like, genius, just to maximize the opportunity. So I love that you go deeper, Madison, and do that with your clients. I think it's so easy to be transactional, and it's just off to the next, off to the next, off to the next. So then what do you do differently for our viewers and listeners that are going to be like you and drive to 8 different families during Christmas? Like, do you just send postcards now, or make phone calls now? Or like, how do you manage that time when you have more clients?
That's such a good question. I think I'm stuck on the answers because I change it every year. Like, I'm still doing trial and error. So I wouldn't say I have my system down yet, because 1 year I didn't visit anyone really on Christmas, maybe a couple, but I mailed out their gifts to them directly, because that first year I was all over the place and I was like, this is too stressful. So then I tried just mailing it. But me personally, the way I am, I don't like only just sending out stuff and then not really seeing them face to face. So this past Christmas, I made it a point to visit them again. So I think what works is, we're just doing our best. We can't be everywhere. I wish I could visit all my clients all the time and have hours of conversation with them, because they're important to me. And but it's just not realistic, and people are busy. So I think what I learned from my past couple of years now is to pick times throughout the year, as opposed to letting it all be Christmas, and visit more often, because I'm always on the road, and agents are most of us are always on the road. So, and I've heard other agents say this too, and I got reminded of this recently. But if you're showing properties, let's say, in California, like if it's in LA or OC, and you sold a house or help someone buy a house somewhere close by, and you have maybe an hour of extra time because you're already out there, just literally call your client right then and there and say, hey, I'm in the area. Can I pop by? Or can I drop off a gift card to you? Or, just like something a little bit out of the box, because you're already in the area. So it's kind of a best use of your time. So you're not going out of your way so much, but just kind of capitalizing on the fact that we are already out and about all the time. And then, planning that out maybe beforehand, like, okay, I'm going to pop by 2 or 3 of my clients' homes, even if they're not home, I'm going to drop something off, as opposed to waiting all the way until like Christmas time when everybody's busy.
Yeah, I love that. That's so smart. It reminds me of like, I don't like downtime. And so if it's like a Tuesday through Thursday, I'm go mode. And the one thing for me is that social media is so easy to like post something on stories about like, oh, I'm going to open house. Or for us, we're like doing some flips right now. So like, oh, I'm going to this next flip, check on the contractor, see what's going on. Like, this is the process. If I could do this, you could do this type thing. And so I love filling in the gaps. So I think that's great for a viewer or listener out there. Like, hey, if you have a client close by that potential property, you're going to go hold as an open house, or you're going to go see for one of your other clients, just stop by, gift card, hey, you have time for lunch, whatever. and make that a part of what you're already doing, just to maximize opportunities instead of like just driving that one location specifically for that, which is also cool. But then you're just maximizing opportunities. So that's super smart. I love that. I love that, because we like to get very much like brass tacks and figure out how could someone take, things that you are already doing and apply to their business so they can have more success with it, or ideas that they never thought about to then just maximize time, which I think that's great, to maximize opportunities in time. That's super smart. I love that. I love that. So when it comes to your social media and going through that process, is there any type of like techniques or ideas or suggestions, stories, stuff that you put out there that someone could potentially take from you that kind of has been working, as far as maybe the stories you put out and why, or the content you post and why, and just kind of give a little bit of context there for our viewers and listeners?
Definitely. To your point, I think you said this earlier, we don't really need to overcomplicate things. And I think social media doesn't need to be super complicated either, because you can go on YouTube or go on all these trainings, because I've done a lot of them too. And you're like, algorithm and this and that. And I know there's importance to that. But I think for me personally, I never want to come across like a bot. So I don't want to come across like, I'm doing stuff ingenuinely. So I like to just be as genuine as possible and kind of show who I am on there. But tactical things that you can do is definitely posting on the story often and trying to make it as engaging as possible. Because I'm not super techie with Instagram and the algorithm and everything, but from what I've learned, if people are reacting a lot, the algorithm does pick that up and they push out your content to people or viewers that maybe don't normally see your stuff. Same thing with reels and posts. So, and trying to make it as interactive as possible. But I know for me, what doesn't work is, leave in the comments below. Like, at least for my page, like it doesn't really work. So I've tried that so many times, and I'm like, you know what, I'm done doing that, because it feels like it's not me. I just want to put it out there, and then hopefully someone will send me a DM or comment because they naturally feel like they want to. So then I like to dive back again, reflecting on your post, seeing what gets the most interaction, and then just repeating that. So what works for me is providing, educational content, a little bit of entertainment. I like to be silly. That's just who I am personally. If you're not silly, then don't try to be silly online. Just do what you do best. Definitely. And people will notice the consistency of your posts and your personality, and then that's what they'll go to you for. And then, making it as interactive as possible, doing polls, and kind of, again, figuring out what gets the most interactions on your page, and then just doing more and more. I think would be, for anyone trying to build a page too, it's just about being consistent and also putting thought into the post, because you don't want to just post a cool photo and do, quote all the time, because then what they're going to your page for quotes or for real estate information. Like, what message are you trying to give out? I'm a real estate agent. So there was a point where my page got very blended with a lot of different things. And then I had to self-reflect and say, what kind of message am I putting out there? Because a lot of it is trial and error, but we do have to try different things to figure out what works.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that sticks out for me too, for you, is like who you are online, like on your Instagram, on your stories, and what you're posting is just who Madison is. So I love that, like, you will very much like align with just online, offline. This is who I am. So people could build that know, like, trust, and then be like, yep, Madison's who I want to work with. She's awesome. And then they meet you in person. And I'm sure people maybe have already said, like, you're like the same person, and then it's interesting. I feel like with technology and videos and billboards, it's almost like this fan celebrity type relationship. You almost turn into this like celebrity, and then you have these fans, which are clients, which is so interesting. And so social media, and we just had a great podcast episode yesterday with Lauren with Real Broker out of Florida. And it's amazing how things are shifting these days with content creation and with this fan type celebrity relationship. And then now, like, this whole YouTube thing's going on, which is becoming more and more popular. Agents doing like area content on YouTube and all the things. So it's interesting how the market has shifted from, like what you said, the traditional stuff at the beginning of the episode, like door knocking and making phone calls or doing the traditional mailers. Like, that stuff is like, like, now you could just jump on social, be your true authentic self, and vibe out with people that already want to work with you.
Right. It's getting in front of people in person, which is great. But if you can't do it in person as much, then you can go online. But if you are different online than you are in person, people will pick up on that too. So it's important to know exactly who you are. And like I said, what message you want to give people, and be consistent with that. So people do recognize you and they do trust you and they want to talk with you and work with you.
Definitely.
Yeah, getting in front of people in person too is also important. I think both, but social media is such a big tool that we can utilize to reach that way, thousands of people. Unless you're doing big events, like it's pretty rare that I'm going to be talking to a
Yeah.
thousand people at one time. So
Hmm.
social media and YouTube and everything is another way for us to just get our message out there and let people see who we are.
Yeah. Amen. 100%. So what's in store for your business? So we did the first episode, you're back yet again. And if there's a possibility to have you back on again, we would love to hear where do you want to be in the next couple of years? What does that business look like? So when people, follow you on social media, links are down below for Madison, they could be a part of your story and a part of your growth and what you're up to. So any specifics that come up for you as far as what you want to do as you grow your business, as far as growing a team or area that you want to grow, or what does it look like for your business?
I have a lot of ideas, so let me try
I
to go.
love it.
Let me try to
Let's do it. Let's do it.
fine tune them and just give you a quick summary. I do have a lot of goals and aspirations. I've been tapping more into the investment side as well. I'm about to become a landlord for the first
Oh,
time.
congrats.
Thank you. So I don't personally really see myself as a flipper, but I want to become the best agent I can to help people build real estate wealth.
Yeah.
I started kind of thinking more recently that I want to talk to my clients about their real estate portfolios. It's like
Ah,
using different terminology instead of saying, what house do you want to buy? It's how many do you want to buy? I want to help. I want to get
mm,
more into real estate planning as
yeah.
opposed to, just, like I said, transactional. So I want to be the contact person for my clients, not just on one transaction, but for
Mhm,
multiple, because
mhm.
I'm doing it myself. I'm doing what I'm preaching. So I'm in escrow to buy my second investment property. So I'm building my real estate portfolio for myself, and I want to be able to teach others how to do that too. So I want
Love
to
that.
get more into the investment side, but not necessarily flipping, like I said, but helping people buy, Airbnbs or investment properties, and then building relationships with out of state agents as well and brokers.
Mhm,
So that way,
mhm.
we refer clients out of state too if there's a good investment property somewhere out of state, because California is a little tough sometimes to have good cash flow. That's just
Yes,
the reality. So
it
I
is.
want to tap into out of state investments also. And I really want to make my brand more of a lifestyle. And again, building not just real estate, but if you want to come hiking with me, if you want to, when I just started teaching yoga, I just got certified to teach yoga
Congrats.
in
I
December.
saw some posts about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanna, be make more of a community for my clients, like you said too. My clients might work with me, but then see me in the community and just kind of expanding my brand in that way where I'm not just real estate, but,
I
you
love
know,
it.
there's more opportunity to kind of connect and then, nonprofit stuff is always on the forefront of my mind. So the
Awesome.
harder I work, the more I can be involved with that too. So
Yeah, that's huge. And I think anyone who's viewing and listening, it's very pertinent information to like have a clear direction of where you want to go. And that's why I wanted to ask, what's your goals, what's your aspirations, where you're going? Because I feel like there's a fine line on social media where I feel like people forget to understand to like tell people what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what your aspirations are. Because I feel like so many people would get behind each other if it's like, oh my God, you're gonna do philanthropy, or like, oh my God, you're getting into like short-term, long-term rental, and like, how does that work? And so, the flipping thing is like my wife and I do that. Plus, we do the Airbnb thing, superstar Airbnb host with that as well, and potentially might be an ambassador of Airbnb in this region. And so many people don't know about that. And I feel like so many agents too who are listening and watching, or even been on the show, it's just transaction, transaction, transaction. And it's almost like being on this hamster wheel. So the fact that you're already going into having passive cash flow, which is almost ties into retirement, and then you're guaranteed a paycheck no matter what happens transactionally, is so smart. So I think whoever's viewing and listening, like Madison's on the right track, and definitely something that I think a lot of agents should do. So that way you can have more success with that process. So go follow her journey. Go follow her journeys. Links down below. Got her Instagram behind me. And I'm excited for you, Madison. That's awesome. I'm glad that you're now going to that direction to do that. I've been seeing the hiking, the yoga, and like that could be cool. You have like your clients come to your yoga class after you've already worked with them, and they get to meet each other, and then who knows, maybe new friendship would come from that as well.
yeah, I think, and that's stuff that I'm already interested in or that I'm already passionate about. I'm
Yeah,
not really going out trying to seek other things that other people are passionate about and apply them to my own,
yeah,
which that's okay too if that works for you. But
yeah.
I think like I said, I like to blend that work-life balance a little bit because it actually makes me happier that way because I want my clients to be friends and I want my friends and my family to be a part of my business. And like you said, I want them to root for me. So if
Yes.
they know more, or if they're more involved, like any of the like booth events that I do, my mom's working them with me. So
Aw, that's
yeah,
super cool.
I know, and at first I was like, "Well, I don't want my mom, like, to have to help me with everything," like, that's kind of
Yeah,
embarrassing. That's how I felt at first, and then I'm like, "No, she's excited for me, and how grateful am I for that? So why not
yeah,
have her be involved if she wants to, which she does, and then that way they see me work and they know who I am, and
yep,
then it's just more of a community feel like that." So I just
yeah.
yeah, I think if we can find what we're already passionate about and your passion comes out and people pick up on that, it's kind of contagious. And then it's cool because everyone's like minded. We're all hiking and doing yoga and having fun, getting coffee after. So yeah, it's great. So
That's
I'm
huge.
excited. Maybe in the future I'll have more properties or I'll be helping more clients and we'll be able to talk more about that stuff.
Yes, that would be awesome. And that's why we want to have you on the show because, this is a community. You've been on the show already. Want to have you back on the show so that way individuals that didn't watch the first show who's watching this one can go back and watch the first one and see your growth and change because that's what we want to do here. We want to serve the community as a whole in our amazing real estate world that we live in. And it's just, never a dull moment, always ups and downs. And so go follow Madison. Links are down below. And as we close out our episode today, is there anything? I mean, you gave a lot of feedback, a lot of really good things for people to think about as far as following your passion, checking back in with your clients, some things that you want to do for passive income and going and doing yoga and things that also tie into things that you love to do to connect with other people that would potentially need to buy or sell anyways, which is super smart. What would you like to leave for our viewers and listeners? Anything off the top of your head that comes up for you that you can give them? Golden nugget, some advice, just, I don't know, something going on in your world you want to share with them before we close out?
Definitely. I think the best advice I can give is before you're successful in any business or sales job, you have to know who you are first and be very,
Mm,
very strong in your mindset and your confidence and not boastful but just being confident and loving yourself. Might be a little cliche. It's probably my yoga side coming out, but I can't stress enough because this business is tough, just like
mhm.
any other business. And people will try to break you down. It happens to me often, where people would make me doubt myself, or because of course, I could be on a billboard or someone could be on social media with 100,000 followers and it seems very glamorous and they must be so confident. But I like to be very real and let people know, especially if you're new and you're struggling in the business of real estate. I mean, I've cried so many times and I'm happy to admit that. I'm happy to share my experience with anyone because I've had
Amen.
people tell me that I'm not good enough or that I'm a shitty agent, excuse my French,
You're
or
good.
tell me that, I'm new or I'm a woman or whatever. And
Yeah.
basically trying to tell me why I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And there's moments where I fall off a little bit and feel less than, and then I pick myself back up. And because I'm so much stronger within myself and my confidence because I've done the work to get here, that's why I'm a stronger agent. And that's where more of the success comes from. So if you don't work on your mindset and your confidence and your love for yourself, you're going to get eaten alive out there. I can just warn you right now. So if you're struggling in your business or things aren't working out, you have to take a look within and figure out what's going on internally because your energy that's coming from the inside will come out and people will pick up on it. So the best advice is to always work on yourself. You are your biggest investment. And if you don't care about yourself or work on yourself, who will?
Boom. Wow. Nicely said. Well done. And that's why, hey, we're here to serve each other. We're here to help each other. We're here to build on each other. And we're just grateful that you wanted to come back on again. I know we were kind of chatting in the DMs and she was like, heck yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, let's go. So I appreciate Madison, you being on today and congratulations on all the things that you've done and where you're at today. Excited to see where you're going to be here in the future. So we'll have to have you back on and catch back up with you and see where you're at with your investments and who knows where yoga and hiking takes you for additional potential clients that you'll bring on as well. So, so as always, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So go follow her. Links are down below. Go give her a follow. Go check her out. Thanks to Liftoff for sponsoring the show. Subscribe, notification bell, and cliche. We talked about this earlier in the episode. Like comment below, but comment below so we can get some feedback and know what you think about the show.
Comment
Or
on your page for sure.
yeah, exactly. And is there something that you took from Madison that you're gonna like take to the bank or take to heart and like apply to your business? And as always, it is our intention for you to take things from episode, apply to your business, and have more massive success. And we'll see you all on the next one.